Thank you for having me here today. Today I'm going to talk a little bit like a snapshot of the upcoming election. We'll talk about some key dates to the election and some need to knows. We'll have some need to knows. I believe when we're done, we're going to have a little question and answer period. So let's go ahead and sit back and let's have an organic presentation. Barbara, can I go ahead and take over the screen at this point?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Like Barbara said, we're all learning, so bear with me. I think we're good here. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about voting in a time of pandemic. Like I said, this is something that's completely new to all of us. So every bit of information we can get out there is good information. The thing is, I want to make sure you're getting the information from me first before you spread it on, because there is a lot of misinformation out there. So during this time, it's extremely important that the county make itself available for these types of presentations. So please, if you know other organizations, if you're involved in other organizations, PTAs, women's groups, civic organizations, please let us know. Let's get this going all over again. You will get tired of me, but the information will continue to spread. Okay, let's see. So November general. So right now in LA County, we have about 5.5 million people registered. That's out of about 6.4 eligible. Total county population is about 10 million people. Los Angeles County, interestingly enough, based on our population, we would rank as the 8th largest state in the union if we stood as a state. So we're huge in Los Angeles County. Now, what are we doing for this November election? Some people I've heard called me up and said, hey, Phil, I heard this is going to be all vote by mail election. And that's a little bit of a misnomer. We will still have in-person voting opportunities where it's safe to do so. So we're still going to have vote centers. The trick is now we need a minimum space of 2,500 square feet because we have to implement social distancing and everything like that. All the state and county measures will apply. Masks, gloves. If you don't have one, even though it's now mandated, if you don't have one, we will have one there for you. Now, we are currently planning on having the 10 days of voting plus election day, so the total of 11-day voting period, which we implemented with the Voters' Choice Act. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we have to be flexible. There's a lot of locations that are shut down and we're having, not trouble, but it's a challenge to find as many vote centers as we would like to have. The state has given us a mandate and has identified a number, said you must have at least this many. And as always, once we get that number from the state, LA County looks at that as the bare minimum. We always try and exceed that number. So right now we are looking for locations. If you do know business owners, facility managers, people that have access to facilities, something around 2,500 square feet, please reach out to me. Let me know. We're actively looking for those vote centers. We understand that, there's still people that want to vote in person, and we're accommodating that. We have to do so where we can do so safely. Now, some of the other options we're tossing around would be, instead of the full 10 days, maybe just have the 4-day vote period, which we are guaranteeing 4 days, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the 3rd election day. However, we're also looking at maybe having the weekend prior. So weekend plus 4-day. So be flexible with us. We're actively getting the information out there as it becomes available to us or as it presents itself. And we'll have a big, huge media campaign, radio, television, social media. Our media guy, Mike, is looking to kick that off in mid-August. Mid-August, they're actually going to start seeing stuff go out about that. And then finally, we're going to talk about VVM ballot drop box expansion. In March, you can see there, we had 206 drop box locations. Now, these are the drop boxes. That's what you see in my background there. This is where you could drop off your vote by mail ballot any day from the day you receive it right up through election day. You don't have to drop it in the mail with the mailman. In March, we had 206 drop boxes. And for this upcoming election in November, we're looking to expand that number up to 400 and beyond if we can. So we're looking to have at least 400 accessible drop box locations for the public. Let's see. So vote by mail for November 3rd. Like I said, a lot of people out there have been saying, oh, I heard it's an all vote by mail election. That's not the case. However, the reason they're saying that is because back in April, LA County Board of Supervisors, your Board of Supervisors were very proactive. Even before we got word from the state, they were telling us, hey, we're looking at having you guys do an all vote by mail election. And we said, oh, okay, we're not ready to do all vote by mail. And they made the same misnomer as the public. And we said, no, we want to make sure everybody gets a vote by mail ballot. So we said, great, we could do that. The state had previously passed a law stating that every county would provide every eligible or every registered voter a vote by mail ballot. That went into effect actually this year. However, LA County had an exemption from that. It was not going to go into effect in the LA County until 2024. Part of that is just because of the fiscal, the cost of sending a VBM ballot to every registered voter, 5.5 million. That's a lot of paper. The other thing is because we did implement VSAP this year. So we didn't want to hit the voters with too many changes. However, when the board reached out in April, they said, hey, you guys were getting ready to do vote by mail in 2024. And we said, sure. They said, okay, let's do it now. So now, very important, every voter who is registered by October 19th, you see the date right there. This is the close of registration date. This election more than ever, that close of registration date is important because if you are registered by October 19th, you will automatically receive a vote by mail ballot. Every voter registered by October 19th automatically receives a vote by mail ballot, regardless of the vote by mail status. So you may be a vote at the polls only person, but this year you will be receiving a vote by mail ballot, okay? And again, this is to try and, be flexible during this COVID era. If people don't want to leave, we're gonna make it easy as we can to allow them the opportunity to still cast a ballot and potentially not leave their house. So the VBM drop-off program, here's some of the key features. They're looking at one drop-off location for every 15,000 registered voters. This equates to up to 400, and like I said, possibly beyond that. This is way more than the 200 plus that we had during the primary, and significantly more than the 80 to 150 we used to have in prior elections. The drop boxes are 24-hour drop boxes. We have staff drop boxes also. These are all bolted to the ground. You can see that they're branded with county information. They're not going to be mistaken for anything else. Those of you that remember back in the days when we used to go to the library, these are not unlike the library book drop boxes. Giant steel boxes. You open the handle, a little flap comes up so you can't reach in there. And our people pick them up, and it is picked up by registrar employees. I believe it's either every 24 hours or every 48 hours. I'd have to check on that for you. But it's always done in a minimum two-person team. No one is ever alone with ballots at the registrar's office. There we go. So since there is increased use of vote by mail, we've partnered with the state to offer subscriptions to ballot tracks. This is a free service. You simply sign up and provide them your information. You see the address there, california.ballottracks.net. This will allow you to track your vote by mail package or vote by mail ballot the same way you track a package using USPS. Okay, so when USPS, you'll see when that package has shipped, and you can opt to get a text alert on your phone. You can just get via email, but you could track it every step of the way. You can see when the post office has picked it up, when it's hit their sorting center. You can see when we've picked it up. You can see when it's hit our offices. So you'll be able to track your ballot every step of the way. With the increased availability of vote by mail, this is something that a lot of public are asking for. People are saying, I want to make sure, and there's a lot of, I don't know if it's mistrust or what it is, but LA County is all about options. So we say, great, don't trust the post office, we're going to give you drop boxes. Don't trust the drop boxes, great, come to a vote center anytime during the voting period and drop it off there. Lots of options. Now, one thing while we're on the topic of vote by mail, this is another very important thing, is how the law has changed regarding who can submit your vote by mail ballot. In the past, the law stated the only person that could submit it on your behalf was a relative or a member of your household. The law has now changed. Now, anyone that you trust can submit your vote by mail ballot on your behalf as long as you both sign the back. Why am I mentioning this? We're election administrators, the law has changed, we're administering the election according to the law. However, we do want to get the word out to folks. Please only surrender that ballot to someone you absolutely know and trust, okay? I'm not going to call out any states, but we saw what happened. People were going around the Carolinas collecting these ballots, and some nefarious things happened. LA County has a long history of running clean, transparent elections, and we want to continue that. So please pass that message along, let people know they should only surrender to their mailman, to one of our drop boxes, to a vote center on election day, any of those items, or someone they absolutely trust. Let's see here. track your vote by mail. This right here, it's a repeat of the information I just gave you. However, this is something I'm going to be sending out most likely to Barbara and Jerry or at the league address. And I'm going to ask, this is what I'm going to ask of you guys. I present to you today, I'm asking you to continue spreading the information. This image you see here is a simple little JPEG. I mail it out and you insert it into your social media post. Boom, something easy for you to do. Throw it in emails. Boom, spread the word. Let people know that this is available. You know, our reach extends so far. Your reach extends so far. When we start connecting those reaches, we double up. And I'm always trying to do more work all the way out here on this side of the San Gabriel Valley and beyond. It seems like so much is LA centric these days, but we're still out here. I'm a Glendora resident myself, so I'm out here with you guys. Anyways, so yes, I will be sending these out, and that's the ask I have of you, to please reshare our information. Also, please follow us on our social media. Our social media person, absolute Dean, he actually does his own Twitter account, but Mike Sanchez, our public information officer, he puts out a lot of good information on Twitter, and a lot of that stuff, we love it when you like our posts, makes us feel all warm and fuzzy, but the message doesn't spread until you reshare that post. So please like and reshare. Otherwise, like I said, I'll be sending you these items and you can just share them as original posts yourself. Voter information and guidance relating to COVID. At this point, unfortunately, I think we've all been very accustomed to the way of life right now, the mandatory masks, wearing gloves where we're able to. This is just to make sure you are aware that the county will follow all rules, regulations, and guidelines regarding COVID. Again, social distancing, mask wearing by our employees, sanitizing the equipment once people have voted for those that are voting in person. Here's a timeline of some key dates I wanted to throw out there. September 24th is when sample ballots, the sample ballot books, that's when they start mailing out September 24th. October 5th, this is when we start mailing out vote by mail ballots. Now, I mentioned we start mailing out on October 5th. I don't want anybody to panic if their neighbors have received their vote by mail ballot and you still haven't. We're mailing out 5.5 million vote by mail ballots. The post office has told us very specifically, do not drop them all off on the same day. And we said, okay, we aren't going to be able to do that anyway. So they will go out in waves. Now, if your entire cul-de-sac has gotten their ballot and it's been 2 weeks and you still haven't gotten yours, please reach out to me directly. I am your conduit to the department. We'll figure out what happened and we'll get you a ballot. I'll hand deliver it if need be. Has been done before. October 5th is also the first day that the vote by mail drop boxes, the ones you see in my background, that's the first day they're all unlocked. And there will be a list of those drop boxes on our website. Hopefully they'll have that up by the first week of August, where all the drop boxes are, because we want to getting this information out early is key to us getting the word out to the public, because then we can provide it to groups like yours and you could help us in spreading the word. And then right now our headquarters building is closed. All county offices are closed to the public. But if for some reason we are, or if we are able, not for some reason, if we are able to open by October 5th, that's also when early voting would happen. Now, early voting does only occur at our Norwalk headquarters, so it's not the most convenient, but you should be aware that it's there if the building reopens by then. October 19th, that's the official closed registration deadline. Like I said, it's important every year, but this year we need to have everybody registered by that day to ensure they're getting their vote by mail ballot, I will have a box available for folks. If you have last minute efforts and you show up at 11:55 p.m. on October 19th, there will be a box there for you to drop off those last minute registrations. And I guarantee they will be registered and ready for that election. Finally, all goes well. If we're able to open the 10-day centers, they will open up on October 24th. The vote centers will be open. The 10-day centers, well, actually any day outside of election day, will be open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then finally, November 3rd, election day proper. As always, we're open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And oops, that was my son graduating. Okay. Stop. Okay.
Okay, we're back.
I didn't want to take up too much time, but I hope I got it all in there.
You did great. Did great. That's a lot of really important information. And I'm actually going to start answering a question that doesn't have anything to do with you, but it was the first question asked. And And I think a lot of people may be wondering about this. And what I want to say is the reason you all can view all of this but not see who all is here is because our board was concerned about individual privacy, because we are going to be sharing this publicly. This is a public video that we're making, and we want to share people's privacy. So if you want to email me personally about that, we will take that back to the board. I only see one other question. Oh, the other question is the lecture available in Spanish?
I am working on that. If you have an organization that would like this presentation in Spanish, please reach out to me. Send me 3 dates that you're looking at, dates and times, and I will start preparing someone to give it in Spanish. I have been a little bit handcuffed, again, due to COVID. Whether you realize it or not, all county employees, when we're hired, we are automatically disaster service workers. COVID in Los Angeles County is considered a disaster. So my entire team is actually working at COVID shelters across the county right now. Another reason why I totally appreciate you guys having me out and working as extensions of the county to spread our message.
So the other question has to do with delays in postal service. How are you going to address the delays in postal service? Do you have more information about that?
We do not have any more information. As of this time, we're proceeding as normal. However, we are maintaining ongoing communication with the post office. They recognize the urgency of this issue, of this matter. It's an election. This is a federal mandate, has to happen. So again, that's why I said we're working things out with them on an ongoing basis to ensure that we don't show up and drop off 5.5 million ballots in one day. We're definitely staggering the work to them. Doing what we can. For example, the pickups every day are going to happen by our team members. We're going to go there in the trucks, and that's fine. You know, all our team members are scoring, and boom, they bring the information, the ballots back, and we start processing.
The next question is, will citizens be able to register at the vote centers and cast a provisional ballot on or near election day?
Yes, yes. So any vote center, we will still have that ability. What we've called conditional voter registration. The public has referred to it as same day voting, same day voter registration. Basically, you register on the spot, you cast your ballot, but it is on the back end, it is treated like a provisional. We still have to process your registration, make sure everything's good to go before we can count that ballot. However, again, folks that would have previously missed out because they missed out on the close of registration, they now have an opportunity.
The next question is your PowerPoint available? And I can answer that. Philip has already sent us his PowerPoint, and we will post it on our website and send it out also to all of our members. I don't see any other questions here, but I want to wait just a minute in case somebody thinks of another question.
Sure, and if I could go back to the questions about delays in the post office, that's another reason why we're increasing the number of drop boxes we're making available to the county, right? Because we've seen these, we've heard the concerns, we've seen the news. So that's why our goal, at least 400 of these drop boxes. And again, if you're at a location where you have some property, high traffic area, we're currently working with the folks that oversee Microsoft Theater and Staples Center to have a drop box placed right there near Microsoft Theater. So it doesn't have to be that high traffic. We also have one at my local city hall here in Glendora, so.
Oh, here's a question about San Bernardino County. Do they have the same deadlines and early voting dates? So I think you can probably answer that.
So same deadlines, yes, because those are statewide. As far as early voting, I don't know how they do theirs in San Bernardino County. You would have to check with their registrar, check on their website. Again, because we have to be very flexible. They have the opportunity to do the same thing. However, they may say, hey, we're just going to go with just election day. I don't know what's in the works for them at this time.
I will ask you, Philip, is your contact information at the end of your PowerPoint?
It is not. It is not.
Anyone who members want to know if they can have your contact information.
Absolutely. And in fact, if you want just a very simple one that I monitor, just to get the ball rolling, is outreach@rrcc.lacounty.gov. And I think, Barbara, I'll shoot you an email with all my contact information. And if you want to just distribute that to everybody participating, that way folks don't have to quickly scribble out notes and such.
Right. We'll post it as long as you don't care that it's out publicly.
Yeah, it's on our website all over the place. It's
Okay,
public
that's
email.
great. Does the county feel that the problems during the March 3rd primary at vote centers have been solved?
We have learned enormous amounts from the March 3rd, yes. There were a number of factors that went into play there. However, the important thing is that everybody still voted, that we were not turning voters away. And ultimately, we factor in the folks that did take advantage of the 10-day voting period. We had 70% positive ratings come back to us. The lines, there were issues with the connectivity. However, the feedback we got on the new voting, the ballot marking device, we got great feedback on that. That went over well. And the other things that people really enjoyed, which it turns out to be a blessing in disguise or a blessing in this era, was our mobile and flex voting sites. The mobile site that we could pop up anywhere. We were able to take voting all to locations that previously didn't have it. I had a flex site inside the women's jail in Linwood. So I had inmates and deputies voting side by side in there. That's something they could never do before. Inmates were always relegated to vote by mail, which is fine. But this was just another option. And again, that's what LA County is about. We're all about options. We're all about making those options better rather than taking options away.
Another question, will vote by mail ballots be counted as long as they are postmarked by election day? There are memes circulating about a 14-day limit.
Please don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. And in fact, there's a lot of rules about vote by mail that people don't know. For example, vote by mail, we can accept it postmarked plus 3 days. So it could arrive 3 days past election day as long as it's postmarked. If we get a vote by mail ballot that the person forgot to sign, that person is contacted immediately. 5.5 million voters, but we reach out individually to those folks and they have 8 days to remedy that situation. So in LA County, 100% of vote by mails are processed. Obviously, 100% may not be counted. For example, someone goes into the polls and they're a vote by mail voter and they say, I'd like to vote here, and say, oh, do you have your vote by mail to surrender? I do not. Well, now, in the past, that person would vote provisionally. And back at the office, once we got their provisional ballot, we would have to process it and hold it until all vote by mail had been processed. Once all vote by mail had been processed, we'd say, hey, did Joe Voter turn one in? He didn't? Great, we'll count his provisional. However, back then, oh, Joe Voter did mail his vote by mail ballot. We cannot count his provisional. Now, thanks to the changes we've made, thanks to technology and our use of that technology, if a vote by mail voter, Phil Rivera walks in, I'm a vote by mail voter. I said, I'd like to vote here. And they say, Phil, we see you're a vote by mail voter. Do you have your ballot to surrender? I do not. Well, no questions asked. They're able to spoil my ballot right there remotely. So if that ballot does find its way back to the office, it'll automatically say spoiled. As soon as they read that barcode, no good. And only my vote guarantees that only my vote that I voted at the polls will count.
Can a person track their provisional ballot?
Provisional, we should have very few provisional. You cannot track a provisional per se the way we have vote by mail. However, many of the cases that you would vote provisionally in the past no longer exist. For example, one of the number ones I just referenced, voting provisionally because you're a vote by mail who does not have your ballot to surrender. No longer the case. Someone voting provisional because they show up on election day at the vote center and they're not in the roster. We don't know if they're not registered. We don't know what happened. Provisional ballot. However, that wouldn't happen anymore because now they show up, we can do conditional voter registration on the spot, again, eliminating provisional. So there is no way to track, but provisional is there. Ultimately, the provisional ballot exists to provide a voter a method of voting when circumstances beyond their control would otherwise prevent them from voting. So that's what provisional is for. And to dispel the myth, 100% of provisionals are processed. Historically in Los Angeles County, about 90% were found valid and counted.
I'm looking at, there are several more questions, but some of them you've already answered. I may come back to them, but I want to make sure I get all that are here.
Sure.
Is LA County able to help with its expertise areas outside of California where there's a danger of voter suppression?
So one thing I will say is, as the largest, most diverse in the nation with our record, we are a model to the rest of the nation. Whether states want to choose to follow or not is up to them. However, VSAP, the ballot marking device, not only is that critically viewed across the state, many states across the nation were watching that. Again, if it works in LA County, it's going to work in Okaloosa County, Mississippi. Not only did we have nationwide attention to our ballot marking device, we had worldwide attention. Our registrar, Dean Logan, was a keynote speaker at a presentation, election presentation in the Maldives, where people were looking at, hey, again, LA County is the size of some small countries. So if it works in LA County, and with our reputation, people take our word for it, it could work elsewhere. And it's not just the ballot marking device, it's not just that method, it's our programs. You know, the way we engage the youth in LA County. Groups like Power California started out, small four-man team. We were there side by side with them, and they have grown to now they're up to, I think, Oakland and beyond Central California, engaging the youth with the model that they created in LA County. Same thing goes for the inmate voting programs. Those that are justice involved. For many, many years, LA County was the only one that ran voting while incarcerated program. Now, the model we've created, and with help from the ACLU, that program is spreading across the state.
Here's another question about conversations with the post office. They want to know if you, I think you answered this, but maybe expand on it a little. Official conversation or meeting with post office regarding the increase of vote by mail voters.
So all of that, yes. As soon as I mentioned that back in April, the board passed the motion, say, hey, start investigating going to the every voter gets a vote by mail ballot. That's when the conversation started. This is definitely not something we would want to start. Oh, by the way, you know, in a couple of weeks we have an election, guys. Were you aware of that? No, this conversation started in April. If there were specifics you wanted to know, or you had very specific concerns, I mean, again, feel free to email me, and I could talk to the powers that be that are over those areas. And if I can get answers, I absolutely will.
Another question about voting as late as November 3rd. Register and vote and turn in a provisional ballot as late as November 3rd. How would a person do that?
Register and vote as late as November 3rd.
Yeah.
They simply have to show up at any vote center, and they take all their information on the spot. They cast a conditional ballot. It's conditional voter registration, right? It's conditional until we've done all our fact checking on the back end. That ballot that they cast is treated like a provisional ballot. It will not be counted with all the others. It will sit to the side until we can verify all the information on the voter registration, and then we will count that ballot.
Will the order of candidate names be randomized on mail-in ballots?
Yes, that's a state draw. The state does that draw. I'm not sure when they do that draw, but you can look on the election calendar and it gives the date for when they do that. Those that are interested, speaking of randomized order, those that are voting at the vote centers would be interested in knowing that, yes, once again, the ballot order is reversed. So your local contest will show up first. The contest for your president will be the last thing you vote on at the vote centers. And for those that were concerned about the more button, there was some concern about people either not seeing it or not realizing they had to hit the more button to see all candidates within a contest. There was concern because the device only shows 5 candidates listed, and you have to hit a more button if there's more candidates. Now, we've responded to the people, we listen, and we've made changes. If you hit a contest that has more than 5 candidates, there will be a transparent black overlay that notifies you, states there are more contests or more candidates. Please hit the more button to continue. And then you have to hit OK to show that you were given that message and you understand. Then you continue voting, you'll have access to the more button, and everything goes as normal.
We have a lot of concern about the post office. This question says, what will happen if the post office is not in business at that time?
Oh man, if the post office is not in business at that time, we got some big issues going on. No, we have by law, we have to have plans in place. Same thing as like what happened if an earthquake happened on that day. So we do have emergency plans, activation of truck drivers, minor issues. Like I've become a truck driver in the past for issues in specific areas. Something that would be countywide like that would definitely be countywide effort. We'd actually probably be recruiting drivers from other county departments even. But yes, they do have fail-safe emergency plans to ensure that election goes on. We actually get, by law, we're surveyed every year. You know, every manager has to list what is the bare minimum materials you need, tools, materials to complete your job in a disaster situation. So they do have plans in place for that.
Another person is asking about National Voter Registration Day. They want to know if it's going to happen. I know that it is. And they want to know the date, which I don't know on the top of my head.
Oh, I just had a conversation about that. It is September, I'm not sure. I'd have to check. September 22nd, 23rd, right around there.
Something like that.
It is still going on. Folks are really looking. I've been tuning into the nonprofit vote webinars. They're the ones that originally hosted NVRD. We're looking at different things. For example, I just had a conversation with CalPERD and University of Pepperdine, and for the university area, we're looking at doing on that day some kind of like 2-hour workshop, have a couple speakers, and have some information that is definitely important to the university crowd. Why is it so important to the university crowd? Many of those students, like my son, are at home. They're working remotely these days. Many of those students were registered at their dorm addresses on campus. They will not receive their vote by mail ballots in a timely manner if they don't re-register and update their address to be back at home. So those are the types of things, those targeted meetings we're hoping to have on National Voter Registration Day. I've reached out to my city clerks to see if anybody has any ideas of what we could do. You know, we talked about maybe, hey, the big cities, LA, Long Beach, Pasadena, let's pull something together that all the cities could join in. But, you know, it's really something that requires a lot of creativity. And at the same time, how do we promote that? How do we cross-reference folks? What does it really look like? So if anyone is involved in NVRD activities, webinars, anything like that, please clue us in. We could do these types of presentations, something short, anything like that. Please let us know.
I want to add to that I know that Kathy Bresnan, our voter service representative, is going to have activities related to Voter Registration Day, National Voter Registration Day. But I also want to repeat something I said in the beginning, and that is, if you go to Voter's Edge, Rock the Vote, or Vote Forward, all of those pages have activities that you can do yourself from home and on Voter Registration Day that will help promote voter registration. So please remember those websites. And some of them are linked on our webpage. So think about that also.
And it is September 22nd. And just
September 22nd. Thank you for that. I think we have answered all of the questions. I want to end by thanking you so much, Philip, for being here. We had as many as 31 people here today. So that's a very nice turnout. And we will spread the word far and wide by posting your video in a couple of different places and sending it out. So thank you very much.
Of course. And let's do it again in 2 months as we get closer to the election. Let's get a whole new crowd and let's keep the word going. Of course, anytime, guys. And thank you. I appreciate the forum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.